Everyone, Jared Sandler here with your Rangers pregame news and notes video. The Rangers and the Yankees getting set for the third game here of this four-game series. Corey Kluber on the mound for the Yankees. Hyun-Jin Yang on the mound for the Rangers. Corey Kluber has thrown one inning at this ballpark, and it was a perfect inning. But he did not throw another inning last year, as you might recall, pitching on that first Sunday of last season against the Rockies. Had a scoreless inning and did not return to the mound. And did not return to the mound not only just, that day, but the rest of the year for the Rangers, and now pitching with the Yankees and actually doing all right. So Corey Kluber making his return. I would not expect a video tribute to Corey, although, as I said on the postgame show last night, that would be really, really funny if the Rangers put together like a 30-second tribute video commemorating Corey Kluber's glorious inning with the Texas Rangers. But he's on the mound. Hyun-Jin Yang on the mound for the Rangers. I think the Rangers were likely going to use an opener, but because of how much they had to utilize the bullpen yesterday, I don't think it ended up being in the cards. Odor returned yesterday. In case you missed it, had a couple of hits, including a double, a really nice defensive play, but also missed a tag in a critical moment early in the game that ultimately allowed the Rangers to put up a 3-spot in the bottom of the third inning. The Yankees, of course, erased that deficit and ended up winning the game, but that could have been a critical miscue. But a couple of hits, and I was most surprised by the apathetic reaction from the crowd. Now, a part of it might be because there are a lot of Yankees fans here, and there's nothing wrong with that. You go to any ballpark around the league, there are always going to be a lot of Yankees fans when the Yankees play. So Yankees fans obviously don't have a reason to give Rugi some kind of an ovation, but I expected more of a response one way or the other, and was hoping that it would be more cheerful because, I understand when fans were frustrated when Rugi played for the Rangers, but he doesn't anymore. So, there really was no need to show vitriol, but it was just kind of an apathetic reaction. I don't know if you closed your eyes, if you would have been able to tell that it was the reaction of a guy returning to the only organization for which he played. And frankly, while maybe the last few years left a sour taste, Rugi was a big part of 2015 and a big part of 2016, the 2 years the Rangers most recently won the AL West. And he's honestly front and center of one of the most iconic moments in franchise history. I was talking about this with Mike Bassick yesterday and Eric Nadel. Maybe just Eric, I don't remember, but Mike's sitting next to me, so maybe I was talking about with Mike. But 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, there's a really good chance that the Rugi punch is still one of the 5 most iconic moments in franchise history. Hopefully there's a World Series or 2 or 7 mixed in, but you've got Nolan and Robin Ventura. You've got the strike 3 of Alex Rodriguez, and you've got the Rugi punch. Like, I don't think Rusty's diving catch and Kenny's perfect game is up there. Maybe there's a moment for Nolan in one of the no-hitters, but I don't know that there's an iconic moment that gets replayed and on, montages and stuff like that. So anyway, Rugi will always be tied to the Rangers, but maybe not as a player here moving forward. Colby Allard pitched yesterday. He gave up a run. It wasn't his best, but, he's done a really nice job out of the bullpen, and was asked about Colby Allard as a starting pitcher. So he's 23 years old, and Corey Kluber, I think, is a great example. Garrett Cole, not a bad example either, of pitchers who are outstanding now, but and maybe Corey isn't outstanding at this present time in his career, but he's won multiple Cy Youngs. But they didn't follow what we'd like to see from a development path. It took them a lot longer. Corey Kluber struggled and was a late arrival to the big leagues. Garrett Cole kind of, was up and down and then went to Houston, and that's when it really took off. And there are countless examples. Those are just 2 guys whose names pop to mind because they're opposing the Rangers this series. Garrett Cole already has. Kluber will tonight. I don't think Colby Allard is going to be as good as those guys are or were, but remember, he's only 23 years old, and there are guys who haven't even thrown a major league pitch at 23 and end up having really good careers. He just ended up making his major league debut at 20 years old and has gotten, a decent amount of big league time compared to most 23-year-olds. I don't know what his long-term role is. The roles of pitching staffs are changing drastically now. Now the 2 to 3 inning reliever is like a spot that you not only need one guy to fill, maybe a couple, because of how much shorter the leash is for starting pitchers these days. Like, this is This is way more of a role than it used to be. It used to be, hey, got some relievers, and this guy can throw a couple innings if you need. Now it's like we need a guy or multiple guys who fill that. Colby Allard has filled that role for the Rangers so far this year, and he's done a really nice job. Unfortunately, for me, it hasn't shown me anything that leads me to believe that he's ready to move back into the rotation. Now, he hasn't shown me anything that suggests he isn't ready, but one of the big challenges for Colby was that he was very reliant on just two pitches as a starter, the fastball and the cutter. He didn't throw the curveball or the changeup nearly as consistently as he would need to, or effectively as he would need to be a starter who faces a lineup second, maybe third time through, to give you the chance to go 6 innings and heck, maybe even 7 innings if he's pitching well. He was very two-pitch reliant and became very predictable, not only in the pitch usage, but the location of those pitches. So when you face a lineup one time, when you're going 2, maybe 3 innings, you can be a two-pitch pitcher. You don't need to show the changeup. You don't need to show the curveball. You don't need to have the depth in your arsenal that you need to have as a starter. Colby Allard has been really effective, but he's been really effective in a role that suits a guy who is really only confident or comfortable using 2 pitches. Now, that's not to say that at this present moment, he's not confident with the changeup or the curveball. Maybe he just doesn't need to use those pitches enough or as much, and so he's not using them more. But that is the next step for him to return to the rotation. I don't think the Rangers have given up on the idea of Colby Allard as a starter. And as a matter of fact, I imagine he'll get maybe a couple opportunities as the year progresses to take on the role of a traditional starter. But remember, he's 23. There's still plenty of room for him to grow, and he's under control for the next few years. So there's time for this thing to develop. And then finally, an Adolis Garcia number that's good and maybe one that's not as good. One thing I love about Adolis is the power to the opposite field. So far this year, only one player in Major League Baseball has a higher slugging percentage on balls hit to the opposite field, and it's Shohei Ohtani. Not a bad guy to trail there. Adolis Garcia's opposite field slugging percentage is second best in Major League Baseball. I love that he's got power to the pull side, right up the middle, but also for him as a right-handed hitter to right field. His home run against Garrett Cole was hit to right field. One thing that concerns me a little bit, he chased just 36% of the time in April. He's chasing 45% of the time here in May. So the chase rate has actually increased. Oddly, though, the walk rate has increased. You'd think that the more you chase, the less you walk. His walk rate is nearly doubled from April to May. So I guess my conclusion there is just wait and see. Let's see, where those numbers go, because his ability to show plate discipline is going to be huge in determining whether or not this is a flash in the pan or someone who's got staying power. All right, that's our Rangers news and notes here prior to tonight's game. We'll talk to y'all later.